Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy and welcome to another edition of Foundation Friday for over 50s, in which I'm searching the world over for a holy grail foundation for those of us with mature, less than perfect skin. In the hot seat today is Marc Jacobs' remarkable full cover foundation concentrate. It retails for $55 and comes in 22 shades. Now I have to tell you guys, this has been the #1 most requested foundation. You guys have been asking for it like crazy the last couple of weeks, so of course I had to run out and get a bottle and review it for you. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's start by looking at what this foundation promises. So I went over to the Marc Jacobs website, and what they have to say about it is that 24-hour full flawless coverage is yours in an instant with this ultra lightweight foundation concentrate. So in this case, we're looking for 24-hour wear, we're looking for full coverage, we're looking for a flawless look, and we're looking for an ultra lightweight feel. So let's get into it and see if that's what it delivers. It comes in a heavyweight frosted glass bottle with a wand dispenser. It is a silicone-based foundation. 6 of the first 7 ingredients are silicones, and it also contains some plant-based waxes. It has a tiny bit of water and alcohol, which show up at 18th and 19th position on the label, and it also contains Marc Jacobs' patented golden pigments that are supposed to help it blend easier and look more skin-like. It's got 22 different shades. They all are very much yellow based. I had a really hard time getting a match for mine. It took 3 tries, but I do think the shade I ended up with actually looks fine. It's funny, when I put it on like my hand or my arm to swatch it, it does look very, very orange. On day 1, usually I start by just trying to slap it on with my fingers, but where I saw that rubbing it with your fingers just did not work, I decided to try to use their recommended method of using a brush on day 1. I used my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush to apply the foundation with no primer underneath, because I like to see how the makeup performs on its own without a primer to help it. A tiny, tiny bit of this goes a long way. It is a very stiff makeup. It's very dry feeling, so you don't have much time to work with it, and it doesn't really blend well. The color is not right for me. It's way too pale. When I finished putting it on, I felt like this was a hideous mess. It clings to every hair, wrinkle, and pore. It makes my skin look old, dry, and cracked, and much more textured than it really is. It also skips over bigger pores, leaving big black holes, and settles into smaller ones, leaving white polka dots. So, needless to say, day 1 was an epic fail. And normally I am willing to walk around with the stuff on my face all day. But I had a brunch to go to, and I was not going out to see my people looking like The Walking Dead. So I went upstairs and washed my face. So on day 2, I decided to try an oil-based primer. I used the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Oil, and again used the Real Techniques brush to apply the foundation. So the application and the color were much better this time. It spread better and the color looked good. Sadly though, it didn't look any better than day 1 did. It clings to every piece of dry skin, every hair, every pore, and every wrinkle. And the coverage wasn't great. This was not full coverage. I still needed concealer. Alright, so having a slightly better result than the first day and not having a brunch to go to, I wore it all day. At the 5-hour check-in, it looks, in general, awful. It's worn off in big patches. I mean, that's a pimple, but I don't even know what that is. It is just awful looking. I didn't realize that I looked this bad. And so I will not be getting 24 hours of wear out of it, clearly, at least not with an oil-based primer like they recommend. But really, with this stuff, why would I want 24 hours wear anyway? Really, I just wanted it to go away. I had had enough. I wasn't coming back for the 10-hour check-in. On day 3, I decided to fall back, which is to use the Laura Mercier foundation primer and a slightly damp blending sponge. This is my favorite way to apply just about any makeup, and it makes it look like I like it, which is sheer and natural and youthful and skin-like. This stuff does not want to blend. It was very, very difficult to blend it with the sponge. You can see in the video that all it's doing is pouncing little dots around my face. And then it took so long to work it in and get it so that I wasn't dotty looking that it was just kind of ridiculous. Once I did get it blended, it did look slightly better than applying it with a brush, but it still wasn't great. It still made my skin look very textured. It resulted in uneven coverage that was medium at best. At the 5-hour check-in, it does look better than the previous day, so the Laura Mercier primer definitely helped it to be a little bit longer wearing. It was starting to wear off on my nose and my chin, so I still am not expecting that 24-hour wear. It is already getting shiny on my forehead. At 10 hours, you can see that it is clearly wearing off, and it hasn't gotten any better with time. Moving on to day 4, which is today, I decided that maybe it would be easier to apply it and I would get a better result if I actually mixed it with a primer. Like, this stuff really is reminiscent to me of the Cover FX custom cover drops. I used my Smashbox Photo Finish Light Primer. I mixed a pea-size amount of the primer with a drop of the foundation in the palm of my hand. Then I used my fingertips to spread it around my face. It was going on like weird and smeary, and it wasn't blending well, at least on my skin. So while I have gotten it to look fine for the video, it really doesn't look very good up close. It still is kind of like smeary and patchy. Here is the 5-hour check-in from today. Mixing this foundation with this particular primer has really paid off. Now that my skin has warmed the primer and kind of melted the foundation, it looks much, much better than it did any of the other days I tried it. That doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that it looked, great, especially up close. Smaller pores still are giving me like that little bit of polka dottiness. My skin does still look to me more textured than it normally does. And here is the 10-hour check-in. Looking okay, but not coming even close to 24-hour wear. Whew, boy, I'm glad that's over. Anyway, so let's get into the overall performance. So let's start with coverage. It did not provide the full coverage that it promised with just a few drops. It's so dry and hard to blend that building it up to full coverage is not even possible. It has a matte finish that unfortunately is not flattering on older skin. This just did not do anything to make my dry skin look good. It didn't make anything to make my oily skin look good. It didn't do anything to make my normal skin look good. I can't really recommend it for anyone because it got shiny on the oily parts, it got drier on the drier parts. On the pores, it settles into them, leaving you with the white polka dot face. On the wrinkles, it settles into wrinkles and makes skin look older. For the wear, it didn't even come close to its 24-hour promise. For the feel, the face feel is definitely light and dry and powdery, which leads us into the phone test. Perfectly clean, beautiful phone glass. Elapsed time is about 20 seconds. And here we go. Let's take a look. I can see that there's a big schmudge right over there. And the last test that I always do is the flash photography test. And the final verdict on the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation is that it is remarkably bad on older skin. I don't want to spend any more time thinking about it, talking about it, looking at it, or wearing it. So everybody, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time as always. I hope you enjoyed the review and found it helpful and informative. So stay tuned for the next Foundation Friday. I'm not sure what we'll be testing, but I know it will be better than this. If you like the Foundation Friday series, why don't you go ahead and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can see more. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.